These three U.S. cities will pay you exactly $15,000 to move there. However, no one wants to live in them. City 3, Topeka, Kansas. We begin our dark and unsettling journey into the heart of the American Midwest with a city that has become so desperate for new blood that it is literally writing checks to anyone willing to pack their bags and relocate. Welcome to Topeka, Kansas. Through a heavily publicized program known as Choose Topeka, the local government and regional employers are offering a massive cash incentive of up to $15,000 to remote workers and professionals who are willing to purchase a home and settle within the city limits or the surrounding Shawnee County. On paper, it sounds like an absolute dream come true. A free down payment, a lower cost of living, and an escape from the suffocating prices of coastal megacities. However, the reality of living in Topeka is a deeply isolating, psychologically draining, and geographically terrifying experience that explains exactly why they have to bribe people to move there. Topeka is situated directly in the heart of Tornado Alley, an incredibly volatile meteorological kill zone where the weather is not just an inconvenience but a constant, looming threat to your very existence. For several months out of the year, the skies can suddenly turn a sickening, bruised shade of green, followed by the blood-curdling wail of emergency sirens warning that a massive, mile-wide funnel of absolute destruction is descending upon the flatlands. You are forced to live with the perpetual, exhausting anxiety that everything you own, including the house you just bought with that $15,000 grant, could be violently shredded into splinters in a matter of seconds. The climate is a brutal exercise in extremes. If you are not running for your life from a catastrophic springtime tornado, you are enduring the agonizing, sweltering, and suffocating humidity of a Midwestern summer where the air hangs thick and heavy, carrying the distinct, inescapable stench of industrial agriculture and massive cattle feedlots that surround the region. Then comes the winter, a bleak, frozen, and merciless season where icy winds sweep across the Great Plains without a single mountain or geographical feature to slow them down, plunging temperatures well below zero and trapping residents inside their homes for weeks on end. This extreme weather completely destroys the local infrastructure, resulting in heavily potholed roads and constant power grid strains. But the terror of the skies is only matched by the crushing, suffocating monotony of the land. Topeka suffers from an extreme case of Midwestern isolation. It is a city surrounded by an endless flat ocean of corn and wheat that stretches out into infinity, creating a profound sense of agoraphobia and geographic imprisonment. The cultural landscape is shockingly barren. The city has suffered for decades from a devastating brain drain, a phenomenon where every young, ambitious, and educated local flees to larger, more vibrant hubs like Kansas City or Chicago the exact moment they get the chance, leaving behind an aging population and a stagnant economy. The downtown area, which should be the beating heart of the state capital, often feels like a sterile, abandoned ghost town after 5 o'clock on a Friday. Empty storefronts and struggling strip malls dominate the visual aesthetic of the sprawling suburbs, offering zero entertainment, no vibrant nightlife, and absolutely no networking opportunities for the ambitious remote workers they are trying to attract. If you are single, the dating pool is practically non-existent. If you are looking for diversity, innovation, or cultural events, you will find yourself staring at a brick wall of absolute nothingness. The $15,000 bribe is essentially a golden trap. The local housing market is notoriously stagnant, meaning that once you take the money and buy a property, you are permanently anchored to a sinking ship. If the crushing boredom, the terrifying supercell thunderstorms, and the overwhelming feeling of being cut off from the rest of civilization finally break your spirit, you will find it incredibly difficult to sell your home and escape without taking a massive financial loss. Taking the $15,000 means signing a contract to endure a lifestyle of sensory deprivation. You will spend your weekends pacing the floors of your heavily subsidized home, scrolling through social media and watching your friends in other cities live vibrant lives while you are entombed in a sprawling, silent grid of identical suburban houses. The psychological toll of this absolute nothingness cannot be overstated. Mental health experts often speak of the profound depression that strikes coastal transplants who underestimate the overwhelming emptiness of the deep Midwest. You are trading your vibrant, active lifestyle for a check that will quickly evaporate into property taxes and home repairs, leaving you stranded in the dead center of the country with no ocean, no mountains, and no future. Topeka is a tragic monument to the desperation of dying American cities, a place where the government has to literally buy its citizens because the environment, the economy, and the culture have absolutely nothing left to offer. City 2, Baltimore, Maryland. We move from the isolated plains of the Midwest to the crumbling, hyperviolent, and historically tragic urban decay of the East Coast. Welcome to Baltimore, Maryland. In a desperate, frantic bid to reverse decades of catastrophic population loss and systemic urban collapse, the city government offers a combination of highly publicized financial incentives, such as the Buying into Baltimore and Vacants to Value programs, which can easily stack up to hand you $15,000 or more toward the purchase of a home. The pitch is designed to sound like an urban pioneer's ultimate fantasy. Take the government's free cash, buy a historic, charming red brick row house, and help revitalize one of America's oldest port cities. But the reality is a blood-chilling dystopian nightmare that makes that $15,000 check look like the ultimate deal with the devil. To accept this money, you are essentially required to parachute directly into an active, relentless war zone. Baltimore consistently ranks among the most incredibly dangerous and murderous cities in the entire United States, boasting a per capita homicide and violent crime rate that frequently eclipses third-world conflict zones. The city is suffering from a massive, terrifying epidemic of gun violence, gang warfare, and an open-air drug trade fueled by the devastating fentanyl crisis. When you buy one of these heavily subsidized homes, you're not moving into a quiet neighborhood. You are moving to a street where the nightly soundtrack consists of rapid gunfire, the deafening roar of police helicopters circling overhead with their searchlights cutting through your bedroom window, and the ceaseless wail of ambulance sirens. The Vacants to Value program specifically targets the city's horrifying abundance of abandoned properties. Baltimore is plagued by over 15,000 rotting, structurally compromised, and entirely boarded-up vacant homes that form endless apocalyptic corridors of urban decay. Entire city blocks look as if they have been subjected to relentless carpet bombing. When you take the money to renovate one of these shells, you are immediately surrounded by squalor. These abandoned adjacent houses are breeding grounds for massive, aggressive rat infestations that will inevitably invade your newly purchased home, and they serve as uncontrolled havens for squatters, drug syndicates, and arsonists. The $15,000 the city gives you will be instantly obliterated by the astronomical costs of simply trying to secure your physical safety. You will be forced to spend that money installing heavy iron bars on every single window of your house, purchasing high-grade security cameras, and reinforcing your doors to create a fortified bunker just to survive the night. Your car will inevitably be broken into, your packages will be stolen from your porch within seconds of delivery, and the simple act of walking to the corner store after dark becomes a terrifying gamble with your own life. Furthermore, the civic infrastructure of Baltimore has completely collapsed under the weight of decades of corruption and mismanagement. The public school system is famously broken, with students enduring freezing classrooms in the winter because the heating systems have failed, and sweltering heat in the summer. The underground water pipes are over a century old, leading to catastrophic, geyser-like water main breaks that routinely flood the streets and sinkholes that swallow cars whole. All while residents are slapped with astronomically high and entirely inaccurate water bills that the city refuses to fix. The political establishment has been decimated by scandal after scandal, including mayors being federally indicted for fraud and corruption, leaving the citizenry with zero faith that the city will ever improve. You are surrounded by food deserts where access to fresh, healthy produce is virtually non-existent, forcing you to rely on heavily processed food from bulletproof, glass-encased corner liquor stores. The extreme poverty and the deep visible scars of historical redlining create a depressing, heavy atmosphere of inescapable grief and anger that hangs over the city like a toxic fog. Taking the $15,000 to move to Baltimore is not a real estate investment, it is a reckless, but highly dangerous suicide mission into a failed urban state. The government is essentially offering you blood money to act as a human shield and an artificial gentrifier in neighborhoods that have been ruthlessly abandoned by capitalism and left to rot in an unending cycle of violence, addiction, and absolute despair. City 1, Morgantown, West Virginia. Finally, we arrive at the absolute undeniable apex of geographical isolation and economic tragedy. Welcome to Morgantown, West Virginia. Through an aggressive, highly funded initiative known as Ascend West Virginia, the state is actively hunting for out-of-state remote workers, offering them exactly $15,000 in combined cash and outdoor recreation perks just to pack up their laptops and move into the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. They sell you a breathtaking, but highly curated fantasy of working from a rustic cabin, hiking through pristine emerald forests, and whitewater rafting on your weekends, all while pocketing a massive government bribe. But the horrifying, soul-crushing reality of relocating to this region is something that the glossy brochures desperately try to hide. When you accept this $15,000 relocation package, you're not just moving to a new state, you're willingly walking into the absolute epicenter of the darkest, most tragic, and most lethal economic and public health collapse in modern American history. West Virginia has been ruthlessly exploited, chewed up, and spat out by the coal mining industry for over a century. While Morgantown itself has a small university bubble, the moment you step even 5 miles outside the city limits, you are plunged into a dystopian wasteland of forgotten ghost towns, rusted industrial machinery, and a level of multi-generational poverty that is truly shocking to witness in a developed nation. The mountains, while visually beautiful from a distance, form a terrifying geographical prison. You are trapped in deep, winding, and poorly maintained ravines that become incredibly dangerous and completely impassable during the brutal, freezing winter months. You are entirely cut off from the conveniences of the modern world. There are no major international airports nearby, the medical infrastructure is chronically underfunded and critically short of specialists, and the high-speed internet required for your remote job is frequently prone to catastrophic outages the moment a severe mountain storm rolls through. But the most horrifying aspect of moving to this region is the devastating human tragedy that surrounds you. West Virginia is ground zero for the American opioid and fentanyl epidemic. The sheer volume of addiction, overdose deaths, and broken families is staggering, creating a heavy, inescapable atmosphere of grief, trauma, and absolute hopelessness that permeates every single interaction. As a newly arrived, highly paid remote worker who just collected a $15,000 check from the government, you will immediately become a target of deep, justified, and palpable resentment from the local population. The people of Appalachia have watched their grandfathers die of black lung, their jobs vanish into thin air, and their communities crumble into dust, all only to see the government suddenly find millions of dollars to bribe wealthy coastal tech workers to move into their towns. You will be viewed as an arrogant interloper, a gentrifier who is driving up the cost of local real estate and groceries in a region where the original inhabitants are struggling to survive on meager disability checks and food stamps. The cultural divide is a massive, unbridgeable chasm. You will find yourself living in total isolation, surrounded by a community that is deeply suspicious of outsiders and culturally entirely disconnected from the fast-paced, progressive lifestyle of the coastal elite. Furthermore, the environmental legacy of the coal industry is a silent, invisible killer. The rivers and streams that the tourism board advertises so heavily are frequently polluted by decades of toxic, acidic mine drainage and heavy metal runoff. The tap water in certain surrounding counties has historically been plagued by chemical spills and contamination, making the basic act of drinking a glass of water a game of Russian roulette with your long-term health. Taking the $15,000 to move to West Virginia is the ultimate fool's errand. It is a golden handcuff that chains you to a dying, exploited region where the economy has flatlined, the population is in deep mourning, and the majestic mountains serve only as a towering, claustrophobic wall that separates you from the rest of the civilized world. You are sacrificing your social life, your safety, and your sanity for a government check that will never be enough to cure the profound, agonizing loneliness of the Appalachian void. Which of these terrifying realities shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Absolutely smash that like button and do not forget to subscribe to ensure you never miss our next shocking deep dive.